So this is the initial prototype of the grapple hook, where the initial structure was just a single joint and a point where it parents to the object that it's grappled to. The only problem is that there was no way of properly transferring the properties of one rigid body to another, and there couldn't be more than one rigid body in an object, so we had to change the structure to something else. This led to the grapple hook becoming two components or two configurable joints, one end being on the player and the other being on the grapple hook, which then resolved that issue, as they both would always have rigid bodies, and I could choose whether or not the grapple hook was attached to another rigid body or no. This also allowed the grapple hook to be attached to a moving object, although in this example you can see that I've had some scaling issues with the hook itself. There were some minor issues with getting the player to be stationary on a moving object. We just had to play around with some physics materials, and that issue was resolved relatively quickly. Here we have a character model, a rough character model in place, and I have now started to implement other systems, trigger types and animations in order to make the grapple hook more believable. However, there were still issues with the systems itself. Finally, we ended up having to ditch the idea of a physics-based grapple in favour of a fixed animation determined by a lerp between 2 points, which has led to this final representation. There's also now just rather than a singular raycast, it's now a sphere cast, which allows it to be essentially a thicker raycast and makes it a lot easier to aim. So yeah, a lot of problems arose during our testing and development of the grapple hook itself, mostly in colliders and how it was done.